All right. Hello, everybody. Good Monday evening. How are you guys doing? First of all, thank you so much for tuning in, of course. You guys, again, you love, I love you guys because you show up here night in, night out. And I know that it's hard with an everyday live stream to get people to show up, but I do appreciate you guys. You are the best. So let's say hello to a few people already in the chat tuning in. Hello, Deanna, how are you? All the way from Bedford, New York. Wow. Mr. Kenneth Dunner Jr., how are you doing, sir? We'll get back around to that. We'll get back to that. Glenda, how are you tuning in from Arkansas? And of course, Miss Yolanda Chin, how are you doing? Appreciate you. So if you're checking us out for the first time, we are streaming live across multiple platforms. So if you can follow us over there on our YouTube channel at the Gabe Leo Experience over there on YouTube, I would greatly appreciate it. We are always trying to build our subscribership over there. So if you're heading over there, please hit the like button and hit the notification bell. It'll let you know whenever we are live, whenever we schedule new lives, and whenever we drop new video content on the channel. So if you're going to YouTube, please go subscribe. And of course, we are on our favorite platform, folks. We are streaming live on LinkedIn. So if you're checking us out on LinkedIn, please, if you're not already following me, hit the follow button. And again, ring my bell. That's right, I said it. Ring my bell if you're on LinkedIn. It'll let you know whenever I have new content. That's right. It'll let you know whenever we got new content, whenever I drop anything. You guys can go comment, follow along. So yeah, we just want you to go make sure you don't miss anything on either one of those platforms. So there you go, if you're checking us out on either or. And of course, guys, we want to go check out our merch store. So if you see what I'm wearing my hat there, that is our own Pro Media swag. Yes, we got our own swag store, folks. I will drop the swag link in the comments if you want to go buy a little swag. We got hats, shirts, lots of cool stuff that you can go check out over there. Get your own Pro Media swag while it's still available. So appreciate it if you just even go by and check it out. It'd be nice, you know, even if you're window shopping. It's always cool to see people window shop. So head over to the Pro Media swag store. Might be encouraged to buy something. Of course, we want to give a little love to our design team. They're the ones that designed my logo and helped me with my merch store. To the Inky Black team, thank you guys. Do an awesome job helping me with my that's okay, folks. All right, we are going. I mean, we're having a great show so far. Dan Ross, thank you so much for tuning in, buddy. I do appreciate you stopping in. And of course, Mr. Bob Feathers, yes, go get some swag. All right, guys. And of course, like I said, I actually didn't update my follower count. My follower count is now up to 7,764, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, we're just trying to see how much I can actually grow here on the platform. I haven't really pushed it, but that's what I've been doing lately, and wanted to just, of course, Anthony, how are you doing? Just wanted to give you guys an update. So I should have updated that before I went live, but that's okay. We'll just deal with it. We'll pretend that it's already there and it's right. So you guys just, pretend like they used to tell you on Sesame Street. Just pretend, and it's really good. Okay. Enough about me. I want to get started about our guest for the evening. Pretty excited to have her on. And, one of the reasons that, again, I love being on LinkedIn is the amazing people that you run into. And this individual this evening, she has done a lot in her career and moving just from working, again, a lot of stories that I've heard that people share, they come from a corporate background and then they kind of move and transition into other things simply because they might have been laid off or, but again, hearing somebody's journey and talk about this individual, she's incredible journey. She started again in the corporate excuse me, in the corporate professional. She was a corporate professional, and she moved into entrepreneurship and then into public speaking, which is where I am drawing a lot of interest in what she has to share tonight because I am one of those headed there myself. So I can't probably do it the justice that she can, but we'll go ahead and bring her on, guys. Please help me welcome to the show our guest for the evening, Miss Carla Howard. There she is, folks. Give a little love, applause, of course. Carla, thank you so much for number one for first of all reaching out. That was cool. And then having well, it's funny the things that happen here on the LinkedIn platform. Number one of the things that really sparked interest in like checking out a lot of the stuff you were doing was you had sent me a DM by mistake. Which was, which was funny. I read it and I was like, oh well. I'm pretty sure she meant that for somebody. It was a sweet note, really great, but it wasn't intended for me. But from that moment on, I was like, you know what, I got to investigate this person a little bit more. And of course, we had started talking, and we had scheduled a pre-show consultation, which I love to do with people, just kind of get a vibe and what we can share and talk about. And a lot of the things that we discussed there, I was like, wow. I mean, a lot of her journey is very interesting. So why don't we start out like how you got, how your journey kind of started as far as like getting you to this point of where you're doing the coaching and the public speaking that you are now. That's not what you started out. You started in like I said, in a relatively corporate profession. So let's talk a little bit about that, and we'll kind of go down that timeline.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. This is fun. We had such a fun pre-call. I just laughed because I'm like, we obviously have plenty to talk about.
Yes, we do. We have quite a bit.
So I did grow up in corporate and I grew my corporate career, and it's interesting because I wasn't one of those people that, had a date circled on the calendar and just had to get out of corporate. I really, really liked being a corporate professional. And in my journey, I'm a Lean Six Sigma Master Black Belt. So that's just,
Ooh.
it just means I love data and statistics, and I love process improvement. And through that journey of helping people improve their processes, that they then can serve their customers better and they actually like coming to work more, I learned about change management. And the last 10, 15 years of my career have been solely devoted to change management and teaching leaders how to lead change well and helping change managers create plans and create a pathway so that when big changes come, and hey, listen, I mean, we are seeing unprecedented change right now, and everybody is hungry for that leadership, right?
Right.
So I loved it. It was a global role. I worked for a great company, and I led the global change enablement office. And I began to kind of see the handwriting on the wall that it seems like they're outsourcing everybody that's not selling something. I'll bet you I'm on the list along with the rest of my team. And I had started speaking on behalf of companies that I worked for about probably 10 or 15 years ago. And I remember the moment very, very well. I was sitting in the audience and I was listening to a keynote speaker, and I thought, gosh, I just delivered a talk that was at least that good. And that guy's getting paid thousands and thousands of dollars for being on that stage. What is wrong with me? But I was afraid to jump into full-time entrepreneurship, and I never ever thought I would do that. Fast forward 3 years ago, I did end up getting laid off. I'd already started speaking on the stage, being paid for it. My company had approved it on topics of women empowerment. And so I had to make a decision then, okay, do I go find another corporate gig, or do I really launch into full-time entrepreneurship? And so I did. I thought, this is my time to try. And I have just loved being a full-time entrepreneur.
Oh yeah, and of course, the whole transition, right? I mean, that's part of the struggle as well. It's like, out of necessity, all of a sudden it is like, now I am laid off. Uh, where's the next step? Where's this path lead? And, that's kind of, and for a lot of people, it is,
It's scary.
yeah, I was going to ask you, like, what were some of the things that you were going through your head when you have to make that realization that everything that you've been doing for the past couple of years now is, no longer there, and you're going to have to find another
Ugh.
path to walk down. I mean, that in itself can be a scary predicament to be in for anybody in any environment. It's like trying to find that out.
Yeah, I'm like breathless while you describe it because it really was scary for me. And I just couldn't, I had the hardest time figuring out, like, my heart wanted to, become a full-time entrepreneur, but I was terrified because I'd never not had a steady income, like knowing what's coming in every month. And my husband's retired military, so he carries the benefits, so that gave me a little bit of peace. But I remember him saying, you've coached people for so many years to follow their dreams. Like, it's time for you to do that. Why don't you give this a try? And, you can always go back to corporate if you want to, but, like, listen, you've got a severance package. You've already started building your speaker business. Like, if not now, then when? And I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified that I wouldn't be able to find work. And then COVID hit. And so I had to pivot a little bit.
Hmm.
And then, LinkedIn, you talked about LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a
Yeah.
great network. Well, I didn't really get on LinkedIn to grow my business for the first 3 years. I really just recently started doing that because I felt so much shame around being laid off. And then I was worried about, what are my colleagues going to think? And there's
Yeah.
just, your mind messes with you so much.
And how do you do that? How do you quiet that inner voice? It can kind of, talk you away from taking those steps to want to follow something like that, to follow a dream, or even go explore an idea that you might have.
Yeah. You know what's funny about that is one of my keynote talks that I deliver is this: is your inner critic designing your future? And I developed a whole 3-step process, and I know how to do this, right? But when it comes to me, I'm like, I think what happened is I honestly didn't even realize that that inner voice was stopping me. I just kept thinking, no, I'm going to build it this way. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And I got really comfortable convincing myself that what I was doing was a strategy and it wasn't fear based. And then I was talking to a couple of women that are also entrepreneurs, and it really, it bubbled up. They said, why are you not on LinkedIn? Like, your audience is there, event organizers are there, people who want to be speakers are there. Like, grab me by the shoulders, what are you doing? And I said, you know what, I know what it is. I haven't done it because I have this shame around not have voluntarily left the company, and I worry what people are going to think, and I'm done with that. And so what I ended up doing, and I'm still doing it, is I create my strategy. Like, we'll talk about later, my Get Paid from the Stage program, but I have a whole posting strategy. And when it's in my planner that today's the day I'm going to post a video, doggone it, I do it. I don't care if I like it. I don't care if it's comfortable. I just really have to force myself to do it. And I've gotten great feedback, and I know it's the right thing to do. And every time I push past that fear, it just gets easier.
Right. And then taking down that wall brick by brick, man. The one that we put in front of us, right? That is the one that's the hardest to get past.
Yes.
Because again, kind of like what you were talking about, our own inner voice in there can really be detrimental to us going and following what our true calling or what our path is, because we, again, everybody talks about it, but they say the whole imposter syndrome thing, right? You get to that point where you're like, do I belong here? Should I, like, be here? Oh my, I mean, you see other people doing it, and you think to yourself, like, man, maybe am I that caliber of individual? And it's hard, it's hard to push past that sometimes. I mean, I had this issue like doing this and getting started, because I had seen other people that were doing it, and of course we look and we go, oh, we compare ourselves, and that was the big problem, is like comparing myself to other people. Um, and it wasn't until later on that I kind of, like what you, figured it out for myself, right? I mean, you started seeing other people like, oh, don't compare yourself to somebody else, and then you're like, well, I'm comparing myself to somebody else. Am I that
Exactly.
am I that good? Or I mean, so we just do that along those lines. But one of the things that you also touched on that I really like that you do is you talk about helping, not only using your own experience of doing this, but then like helping other women. Um, so how did that
Yes.
become something that you have continually done? I remember saying you were talking about it when you were still working in corporate, but was that part of the plan as far as like when you decided to step forward into becoming total entrepreneurship? Is that that was going to be a big part of what you wanted to go out there and share?
Yeah, it was part of it for sure. And it came about because as I was mentoring women in corporate, and I had so many women come to me and ask if I would serve as a mentor, and it was such an honor to do that. And what I found over and over again is women really hold themselves back from taking the steps that are going to get them to whatever their version of their dream life might be. It's different for everybody. And it's interesting because so many times as women, we think we need something else before we can move forward. So we need a degree, we need more experience, we need to click off all of the check boxes on the resume. I mean, you are off of the job posting, you name it. But women traditionally will look at what they want and think that they have to be better or more in order to start, and that is simply not true. And so I coached so many women through that, and I made a commitment that I would never say no to mentoring. Well, I ended up having so many women to mentor that I thought, okay, I have to find a way to make this easy, that
Yeah.
I can actually reach like hundreds or thousands of people, right? And so my talks are a way to do that. So I have my keynotes for women, is your inner critic, designing your future, uh, thriving or speaking with confidence, tips for ambitious women and their allies, and on thriving. Because the other thing that happens is women often feel like they have to choose between being kind and ambitious, and they don't. We get to be both. And so I do a lot of coaching around that. So when I became a full-time entrepreneur, I knew that really digging in and creating services and talks that are going to help women move past those blocks and just take the small steps that help them move forward would definitely be part of my entrepreneurial journey.
Mm, that is, man, that in itself is amazing. Um, and one of the things that I always love to talk about is like how, like doing these things, has a ripple effect, right? You go out there and you're making an impact with a lot of these women. So have any of them ever come back to you and like, my gosh, because of you, I am doing X, Y, Z now.
Yeah, I'll tear up a little bit. I get emails, I get cards mailed to my house. Um, I have a newsletter that goes out every week, and people will write me back and tell me how the newsletter always has a little video with a thought, an inspirational message to think about. It's like 2 or 3 minutes long. And they'll tell me how that changed something for them. And it just touches my heart. I also have, and I know you've got my link tree so people can find all this
Yep.
crazy stuff that I do in the link tree, but I also have a Facebook community for kind and ambitious women. And it's completely free. I think we have 670 some people in the community now. And we do sister circles, which are little mini masterminds. If one of our women feels stuck, 10 of us get on a call. She shares her challenge, and we just pour
Ooh.
into her things to think about, just a mastermind to help her get past whatever it is that has her stuck. And I have had women reach out and they'll cry on the call and say, this has changed my life. Like, I've not thought of this before. One of our women changed her business model because she didn't realize that what she had to offer had such a broader application than what she was looking at. And so it just, yeah, it really touches my heart when I see that that just really that encouragement is enough to get them started, and then they just take off.
Mm, man, that is, and and that's again when you talk about being uplifting and supporting, right, your community. What a wonderful way to do it is getting the, 10 of getting 10 people involved that are really want to be there to help. I mean, that is not something that's so common nowadays. I mean, somebody might reach out for advice, but then to kind of have 10 other individuals go there with fellowship in mind and wanting to help this individual, like, get
It's so
forward.
cool.
It is, I can
It is
imagine.
so cool. We call them sister circles, and it is life changing for the people that are on the call too. So the way that it works is one of our sisters will reach out and say, I'm really having this struggle. It can be about their career, a business they're building, or something in their personal life. And then I'll put a post inside the community and say, okay, we've got a sister circle coming up. It's me, it's Sally Sue. We have 8 slots. Let me know if you want in. And then I do a Zoom call, and Sally Sue has 5 minutes to share her challenge. And
Yep.
then she sits quietly, and each woman on the call just pours into her with love and thoughts and advice on how she might want to move forward. I take notes so that the sister in the circle can just really sit back and just, absorb everything. And then the sister that's we're having a circle for will share what really resonated with her. And I do record them, but the only person that gets the link, I'll put it in YouTube, and it's private, is the sister in the circle, so that she can watch it later, because there's just so much information coming at you, right?
Yeah. But hey,
And
that's
so nobody else ever gets a link unless she shares it. And it's amazing.
no, it's, I mean, like I said, that is one way to give back to your community. I mean, people talk about building communities and then, really getting something back from the community that you invest in. I mean, that is something that, again, if you want to talk about how to actually not just grow the community, but then grow relationships, like really deep bonds, um, is to have those conversations like that and hearing it from, 9 different perspectives of where you might not be able to see the angle that you're looking for. And somebody else might have the experience that they've gone down that path just enough for you to nudge you forward enough to keep moving on. I mean, that's wonderful. I actually love those ideas. I love that. That you do.
Good.
That's kind of cool. I wish I could see more of that in a lot of other communities because, um, and I get it. Some of them, people are just there and they really don't like contribute. They're just there as far as like to maybe network, but this goes a little bit beyond. This is actually like I said, relationship building. This goes to the next step of wanting to actually care about all the individuals that want to actually show up there and actively participate. That's again, that's to me, that's the definition of what a community should be like. So, hats off to you, ladies, for doing that every time that you feel like, when somebody reaches out. I mean, that's a really great way, again, to keep moving forward and just help everybody else grow. So that's
Yeah.
awesome. That is so
And there'll
awesome.
be people from all over the world on these calls too. I mean, it's not just people in the US. So you really do get a different perspective. So yeah, it's very cool.
It is cool. Awesome. So, um, kind of now I want to move forward a little bit more into the arena that you are doing now. So, for those who don't know, Carla has she's a public speaking coach, right? You do this regular, but she's also done her own TEDx talk, so that kind of tells you like where her experience lies in doing this. And of course, she has courses and that sort of thing. We'll get into that a little bit more. But how did you get started, first of all, in like getting to that point of wanting, or even not even doing? Was it something you wanted to do, or was it something you were invited to do when you did your TEDx talk? I mean, those are always interesting because I hear two sides where people are like chasing it, and then there's people that like just get the invitation to want to go participate.
Yeah, I wanted to do it. And so it was something I was chasing because remember, I sat in that audience and I was like, I can do this. I need to build credibility though. And one way to do that is through delivering a TEDx talk. And that gets the attention of event organizers a little bit more than if you don't have one. And so I thought, okay, I love speaking on this topic of enabling and supporting women. So I applied for several TEDx events that had a focus around supporting women. And that was, the one that I ended up landing was the Barton Springs, the one that you watched.
Yes.
Picture a leader, is she a woman? So it was definitely me applying for and being very deliberate about what type of a TEDx I wanted to do.
And then what kind of, so when you apply for that, what's like some of the, what are some of the things that you have to go through for as far as like the application process? And of course, I've heard from other TEDx speakers that I've had on, how aligned they want you to do your speech in regards to like a lot of the protocols and whatever they put down in front of you, like so 10 minutes and the whole 9 yards. So tell me a little bit more about that as far as like the actual application and requirements to actually get awarded a TEDx talk.
Yeah, they're all different. So I think the big thing to know is not all TEDx events are created equal. The one that I did, it was the first year they did it. The video is not fantastic.
Yeah.
That could have been better, but they were figuring it out, and that's okay too. But the vetting process it's a lot. So you fill out the application. The application is different for every one of them because they're independently owned and operated. And then you get on an interview call, and then the committee will meet. Sometimes the committee will want to interview you, and once you're selected to be in the TEDx, then you have to sign a confidentiality agreement and that you're going to show up. So TEDx does not, you don't get paid for it. So there's no
Yeah.
payment involved. You have to pay for your own flight. You have to pay for your hotel. So you have to agree to all of that. And then they're all different in terms of what they offer. So they all have the tight time limit. The one that I applied to, and one of the reasons I was excited to do it, is they actually assigned you a coach, which was really cool. To your talk, give coaching. You have, for that one, I had to script it out completely, exactly what I was going to say. And then she gave me coaching on some of the phrasing and some alternate things to consider. Because it was in Texas, in Austin, and I was in Phoenix. Yeah, I had to deliver it to an audience and record it and send it to them. And it has to be a talk that you have never delivered before too. So they want original, thought-provoking content as well. So that's they'll Google it, and if they find your talk out there somewhere else, they won't take you on the TEDx stage. So it has to be original content. And if you think about it, it has to kind of be a big idea. So something that's very different that you bring your own spin on.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
Some people give it so well. Sometimes it's like it's almost, I've seen a few where it seems like it was rehearsed and it's something like they had, done multiple times. So that's interesting that it actually has to be formulated original content that is.
Oh, and you rehearse the heck out of it. I don't know. Do you use swear words? Because I'll say heck instead of the other one.
You can say
But
swear words.
okay, you have to rehearse the hell out of it. Like your timing has to be exact, and you are like, the event organizer will be very deliberate about how much time you have. And I mean, that one drove me crazy because my typical rehearsal is I do rehearse, but I also feed off of the audience. And
Yeah.
so, depending on the way it goes and the energy in the room, I'll change it up a little bit. I may tell a different story. I may have a conversation right before with somebody that sparks an idea that I think is going to connect better with the audience. I do prepare and rehearse, and I leave room for that flexible, you pull in the energy and you make a shift. You don't do that with a TEDx. Like, it is, you know every single word you're going to utter when you get on that stage.
Mm, wow. So it is pretty rigid and
Yes,
stringent as far as like how you have to deliver um, the whole speech. Interesting. Wow.
absolutely.
Wow. So I guess you have to have some chops and practice. Even doing a speech for the first time. I mean, I don't. It's always interesting when I hear people uh, who do it for the first time. I always think like that had to be a real eye-opening experience because most people do have a background in public speaking. They've done it for years. They've done it like you've done it, where you were doing it in corporate, or for whatever reason they do have a familiarity with talking in front of people, and then having the idea of having it memorized down to the exact words that you're going to recite. I mean, that's kind of, and it's 10 minutes, so you have to remember the whole 10-minute interview. And yes, it is a process. Dan says he's tried 3 times.
You'll get there, Dan. You'll get in. I actually want to do another one. And so I was thinking about that the other day. What do I want my topic to be? And, kind of what is my big idea? So I'm playing around with that. It is a process, and the competition is really, really tough to get into a TEDx talk. And it's well worth it. It's a great experience. I learned so much as a speaker through that, but through having the coach, doing the memorization. I had, like I said, record myself and then watch it. And so, yeah, it's a great experience. It is a lot of work. That's one thing to know. It
Right.
is not even after you land the gig, it is a lot of work.
But it is a really great bullet point though. Whenever when you put out the resume, they're like, "Wow, you've done a TEDx talk." I see that a
Well,
lot.
and when they ask for oh yeah, sorry, there's a lag. I
Oh,
apologize,
no, no,
Dave.
no, no. Go ahead. Go.
The other thing is, like, I have TEDxer in my LinkedIn profile, and organizations will search for that, right? And then on my speaker one sheet, when I send it out, I have that I've delivered a TEDx talk, and I have a link to my talk so they can go and watch, and they can see that I know how to speak from the stage. I'm a competent speaker.
Yes.
So it helps you in so many ways. And typically, uh, it makes it easier to get the higher speaking engagement fees because they see you as a polished speaker.
Yeah. And does that also translate? You do this now to help coach other people. So does this help, like, again, help spotlight people that might want to hire you to, or, like what we're talking about, like you have a course a 6-week course that you have coming up, October 8th is when it starts. It's a 6-week course. Can you talk a little bit
Yep, it starts this Saturday.
Okay, so,
Sure.
oh yeah,
So,
Saturday. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no,
My
you're
days are
good. And
my days are messed. I'm still forgetting. I'm in
can you even
October.
believe it? Like, we're going to be done with the first week. I know. First week of October is going to be over on Friday. It's crazy. Yes, so it does give you credibility, right? You get more street cred because I'm a TEDx speaker. And the program is a little bit different. So the way I always talk about the program is to say what I don't do first so that people really understand what the program's about. So I don't listen to the participants' talks and give them pointers on how to be a better speaker. And the reason is because that just takes miles under your sneakers. That takes getting up on the stage, delivering talks, learning what does and doesn't work, and refining your talk. And that you can't do in a 6-week program.
Yeah.
What I will do is teach you how to get paid from the stage. So what does that mean? I work with you on things like building your speaker one sheet, creating a proposal that is going to get the attention of event organizers. We talk about how to find event organizers and connect with them. I give the participants in one of the weeks a spreadsheet with 100 calls for speakers. Typically, it depends on the season, but right now I'm working on the calls for speakers, and I've got close to 100 on there that they will then go and apply for. We talk about how to get your speaker reel created, and I bring an event organizer in who shares from her perspective what stops her from hiring people, and then what gets her attention and gets her interested in hiring. And then also, there's some really good speakers who she has had come in and speak, and she won't bring them back because of just the way that they engaged with her and her staff, right? And then it opens it up for questions participants can ask. And we work through the whole speaker package. And then also in the last week, I talked through, okay, great, now you've landed the gig, now what do you do? Because here's some really important things you want to make sure that you do so that you are you're getting all of the value that you can, and you're taking really, really good care of your event organizer and the people who brought you in to deliver the talk. And we also talk about things like how to get additional value, because really this whole 6-week program is full of mistakes that I made for the last 10 years trying to get paid from the stage. I had no idea what the hell I was doing, to the point that one of my first gigs that was going to be a big, like for me, I was going to get $5,000. I was so excited. The lady was really interested in me, and I didn't get it. And I was just like, oh man, like I thought I was going to get that one. So I reached out and asked her for feedback. She got on the phone and she said, hey, listen, your content was great. Like I wanted to bring you in so badly. And when I got in front of the committee, you didn't have a speaker's reel, and I couldn't, get them to pull the trigger without having a speaker's reel for them. And I said, oh, okay, I really appreciate that. I'm going to work on getting a speaker's reel this week. Like that was really, really valuable. And then I'm getting off the phone Googling, what is a speaker's reel? Like I literally had no idea. So all the way through the 6-week program, I share like, okay, I did this and it didn't work, and here's what it cost me. And here's all this value that I was leaving on the table for years when I went in to speak. And when people say we don't have a budget, here's what that really means, and here's how you can get some value for yourself, right? And so it's really a 6-week course on all the mistakes I made in my journey, and just fast tracks people past all that mess so they don't have to deal with it.
That is, well, again, and for those who like, and I can't imagine like how it's had to, the whole speaking in public thing has kind of accelerated again because of, everything went dead and silent because of COVID, and it was, really hard. It was, it was dead in the water as far as like events in person, and all of a sudden, we slowly start to get the trickle of we can do this again. So I can imagine that is now something that people are looking forward to doing again, and maybe hopefully not taking for granted the opportunities that present themselves at a lot of these events. So let me ask you now, have you ever thought about, since you're a speaker already and you already do this, have you ever thought about writing a book and sharing your story to kind of add a little bit more to what you can share on the stage?
I have thought of, so I did actually write a book, and it's self-published, and it's a little fun paperback read. My mother was my editor. So, I mean, we're talking, this is not a fancy book.
Yes.
I have thought about writing a book with more of my current experience and really investing in that and hiring an actual editor and someone to, design the cover and really give it a go. The thing that holds me back is just how darn time consuming that is. And right now I have so many different levers of my business. I am a strategic change consultant, so I lead uh, mergers and acquisitions for a company. I've been doing that for 2 years. I also have workshops where I teach leaders in mid to large size companies how to lead change successfully. I have my keynotes, which are what I have them on change management and also on supporting women. I have a membership for kind and ambitious female entrepreneurs, and now I've launched the 6-week program, which I'm loving doing. And so if I think about adding, writing a book in there,
Yeah.
it just feels like too much. It may come to a point where I say, okay, I'm ready to do that, but right now it's just too much for me.
Yeah. I don't blame you. It is a process to go through and collect all of that information that you might want to share in a more thorough manner with a book. So I trust me, I do get that. I'm writing one now. Trust me. With everything I got going on too, I'm trying to write a book about my own personal journey and live streaming and the whole education part of like teaching people what it means to actually do this, to get behind a camera and turn on the lights and get in front of a microphone, and then the idea of just creating and sharing your voice. I mean, that's been a whole journey in itself, and it's been a learning process from day one until even now to this point. Every day is a new sort of lesson. I've even a lot of things that I didn't expect to happen have happened this year, and I've been doing this now going on three and a half years. So, but I love it because it still teaches me, and it kind of still gives me more material to kind of go back and go, whoa, I definitely overthought or overlooked this, or I didn't put enough attention into it. So, I'm shooting for next year to try to get this book out. So, I've been writing it now for the last several months. So it is time consuming to like sit down and go, what do I put here? How do I structure the first few chapters, and then what is next, and then what goes next, and what do you want them to kind of come to your conclusion? Almost like a speech, How do you start it, and then how do you come to the conclusion, and all, the whole 9 yards? So you have to walk the whole process, and it takes time. And I understand why you're like, I got so much going on. But I always ask because it always interests me that people have this wealth of knowledge, and at some point to actually, apart from just sharing it that way, to put it down in the form of a book, so that you have something to again to go back when you're at your conferences and everywhere else. It's like, check out the book by Carla Howard. She did called XYZ. But it'll happen. It'll happen. I'm pretty sure. I mean, you've been pretty driven to get to this point, so I don't doubt that at some point down the line we'll actually see that. So, what do you have? Well, I know you got the 6-week course coming up, right? But do you have anything else that you might want to share, promote a little bit more before we start wrapping up? I want to give you all the opportunity to share, because I think there's so much value in what you're doing. I mean, like I said, I'm peaked because I'm shooting for that. I'm shooting to get on stage myself at some point, in a more frequent capacity than just the occasional few times that I've mentioned here.
Well, a couple of things. If anyone knows of any keynote opportunities, I do love delivering keynotes. I was in a beautiful little town in Minnesota last week delivering a talk, and
Ooh.
I'm off to Chicago actually next week for a big conference to deliver a talk on change leadership. So my talks around change management and change leadership are very much directed to corporations and associations. And what is really interesting, I've found, is those talks resonate with any organization that is managing change. And oh my gosh, like who is not right now? So this one is
Right.
for the ISSA, and I forget what that stands for, but it's all around cleaning products. It's a big association conference, and I'll be delivering change leadership, your key to professional differentiation and business results. And then I have my women's topics that I deliver on as well. So if anyone knows of any keynote opportunities, I'd love to learn from you, just how I can serve your audience. The 6-week program, I do still have seats that's locked down to no more than 15 seats because I give tons and tons of individual feedback all the way through the 6 weeks on all the deliverables. So there's a link in Linktree if anyone's interested in that. And I'm also happy to jump on a chat if they have any questions at all about the program, what it does and doesn't deliver. And I actually even offer a money back guarantee on that program because I feel like I just want people to know that, the value is there and they don't have to be afraid of, coming in and, working with me, because if they come back and they were to say they didn't feel like they got the value, I would refund their money anyway. So I'm there to serve you, and I'm committed to making that program exceed your expectations. And then if anyone's interested in joining the Sparkle and Rise Facebook community, the free group, I'd love for you to come in. That link's in there.
Yes.
And then I also have my membership for the Rise Sister membership, which is for kind and ambitious female entrepreneurs. And that one's just $24 a month. We do all kinds of cool stuff in there too. So anyway, that's the stuff I've got going on. And I would actually love to connect with people on LinkedIn and just meet up there. I'm happy to jump on Zoom calls and, get to know
Absolutely.
people. So
Dan just
yeah,
mentioned he doesn't know any offhand, but he'll put you in contact with those that can. So he's got a pretty big group here on LinkedIn.
thank
So
you.
um, he's a pretty good resource here on the platform. So we'll see about that. And of course, Dan, I will drop the link here in just a few for the actual TEDx speech that she did at Barton Springs. It's I went and watched this day. I think you would really enjoy it. It's really good. And for me, it was me learning like how to actually see somebody doing like those presentations. So I usually watch those with a more cautious eye because, like I said, now that you told me, it's like more stringent and there's a lot more that goes into it. Now I'm like, whoa, there's a lot more work there that I'm not even really noticing. So I'm gonna go back and watch a few other TEDx speeches that I've seen in the past and go, man, I wish I would have known that, because they do deliver a good job of when they get it across. And it's not the easiest thing. I even had my friend Oleg Lohi, let me get his name right. He did his first TEDx at 19. It was incredible.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
They'll tell you when you book the gig that if it's not polished and clearly rehearsed to the point that it's memorized, they won't publish it. Like you'll go there and do the talk and you'll never see it because they will not publish it.
Yeah, well, his was, and it's kind of incredible that he did it at such a young age. And it again, I guess when you're that young, you don't even think about the nerves. You just go out there and do it. Really great guy. I mean, it was a really good, it was a really good speech. He was talking about how being an orphan and coming over from Russia. It was really, again, really well put together. So hats off to anybody that does this. So that's why I was like, I'm always floored by anybody who's gone through the process of actually doing those kinds of speaking engagements. And someday I hope to be one of those. So that will be me at some point. So yeah, I did have a notion to want to become a public speaker back in 2019, and of course 2020 hits. So this is why I'm live streaming, as a matter of fact. That's part of the backstory behind it, because I wanted to go out there and actually get on stage and speak and kind of overcome a fear of speaking in front of people. I've had a fear since the fourth grade of doing this. And it was one of my challenges to kind of put myself out there. So I was like, you know what? I need to get practicing. So how am I going to do this? I started doing live streaming. I was like, okay, I feel good about this now. And then March comes and everything just shuts down. And I was like, well, what do I do now? So I said, just put in the time and work doing this and get the practice in. So that'll be something down the road, but it is still a ambition of mine to go pursue. So thank you, Carla, so much for coming on the show. Number one, thank you so much for sharing a lot of value. And of course, at some point I would love to have you back on and we can discuss a few more things that we could have gotten into. I mean, it's just not enough time to cover every bit of your journey. I mean, just so much. And that's the only thing about doing these shows. I only get an hour and it's not enough. I could continue to talk, but again, I will reach out to you here in just a bit. Just sit tight. Everybody else, thank you so much again, guys, for tuning in. I do appreciate you as always, guys. You bring so much to the table every night, guys, and I am grateful for the opportunity to bring on great guests, to share just every opportunity to bring somebody on that could add a little bit of value to your life. And hopefully you guys take something out of it and it makes a little bit of an impact. That's all I'm really wanting to shoot for every now and then. So we will be back, guys, tomorrow evening, 8:15 Eastern Standard Time. My guest tomorrow evening. Will be my buddy, Mr. Junaid Ahmed. He will be in the house tomorrow evening. We will be talking about his home studio mastery. He's actually shown people how to build out their home studios, and he's actually got an accredited course now that he teaches people to do this at a college. So we will talk to him tomorrow evening, 8:15 Eastern Standard Time, and learn a little bit more about how he can help you figure out your own studio setup. He's really great at it, and if you've seen any of his live shows and any of his videos, you can understand why. So, all right, guys, other than that, thank you so much, guys. You are the lifeblood of what we get to do here every single night. You are the best audience on LinkedIn, bar none, okay? Just remember that. If anybody tells you any different, you remind them that I said that I said you guys are the best audience on this platform. And if anybody wants to bring an argument to me, let them do it. We'll fight them. So we'll be back tomorrow evening, guys. So be well, stay safe, and we will talk again soon. So until then, good night, everybody. Oh.